So do you find yourself saying yes to requests automatically, even when you don't want to? I know I do. So, do you worry too much about hurting others' feelings or being disliked? If you say no, many of us have trouble putting clear boundaries in place, especially if we assume that being nice means being accommodating. We're actually being self-compassionate when we learn to draw clear and healthy boundaries. And this doesn't mean it's my way or the highway, or that we don't consider the needs of others' wants. But it does mean that our own well-being is given the weight and importance that's due. Setting boundaries is something we have to engage with on a daily basis, and I call it the boundary dance. A compassionate one. Being open-hearted, transparent, and authentic is a good way to start to get in alignment with our values and therefore our boundaries. And that's easier said than done. So, do you sometimes feel resentful in relationships? Do you feel like you overgive and overextend yourself? Or do you feel chronically underappreciated? Are you walking around feeling a bit annoyed at people? Or maybe feeling unsatisfied in important relationships at work, in your circle of friends, or an intimate relationship with a partner? Then some boundary work definitely needs to be done. So having healthy boundaries and being able to put them in place with kindness and clarity is a skill, which means any one of us can learn how to do this, even if we're willing and want to. It's still a skill to be learned. It's a bit of give and a bit of take, making sure that you stand in your truth. So it's give and take, and that's why I call it the boundary dance. Whatever the situation is, we can be honest about our needs, preferences, our limits, and desires. So with some courage and commitment, you can become an expert boundary dancer. We can be the change we want in our lives. So in order to draw healthy boundaries, we need to stop simply going along with whatever people in our lives want us to do or are doing themselves. A partner who's inconsiderate, a colleague who says something offensive, a friend who makes excessive demands on our time, just for example. And you then need to firmly say how you feel about the situation. So when you're doing this, there are a few boxes that need to be ticked. And the first one is that your decision must be for you first and foremost. The second one is it must be good for the other person. And then lastly, it must be good for the situation. So again, it's give and take, the boundary dance. So when others ask for our help or assistance, we need to stop and pause and consider, is this good for me? Is this something I want to do? Do I feel comfortable with this? Will this cause me undue stress? Do I need more space, more time for myself, rather than following this request? And is it good for the other person, and is it good for the situation? And then take appropriate action. We need to call on fierce self-compassion to be able to negotiate our boundaries, being brave, empowered, and clear how we deliver our firm words with kindness. We also need to be kind to ourselves with warm acceptance to deal with any fear that we might not be liked, or a thought that we might be selfish. There is no such word in my dictionary as selfish. When we take good care of ourselves, it's nurturing for our mind, body and soul. Definitely not selfish. We can't help others if we don't help ourselves first. So take charge of the sovereignty of yourself and enjoy the boundary dance.